quite some time ago now, it seems. I was in the U.S. Navy. I was a navigator. I flew jets, and in training, it seemed like there were a lot of classes about radar. Learning how to navigate in the plane, tuning into radars, and figuring out how they were delivering information to the aircraft. I learned this amazing thing. It's really quite something we just take for granted whenever you fly commercially. Not that we're doing that nowadays, but there are holes, there are gaps in the information that a radar delivers. If you're ever watching a weather forecast online, for example, and you're looking at a storm develop, if you look closely at that radar picture right in the middle, perhaps, where the radar is located, there'll be a gap, there'll be a blank spot. That is what meteorologists call a cone of silence. Now, in aviation, this is unhelpful because that is all a gap of information. It's a blank spot. It's like darkness. You're not getting any information about that piece of the earth because the radar, if you can picture it, is rotating around this axis. And the information it's receiving, like you've seen a radar dish, maybe curved like this, and it's receiving this information, but what it can't receive is this information up here. It's called a cone of silence. And if you're envisioning this radar going around in a circle, gathering information, there's this cone of silence that goes upwards, on up into space. And anything in that cone of silence, that radar will never see. Now, the thing that we use to get around this is the fact that we take information from multiple radar systems. And we're really good at filling in the blank spots of other radar. And so actually what we're looking at a lot of times on a forecast is a picture from several radar. It's not unlike our lives at the moment. I think each of us struggles with a cone of silence, a blank spot of what is going on around us. Maybe it's with another person, maybe it's something in our own lives. And it's really difficult to even be aware of that blank spot. Radar's never aware that it has its own cone of silence. We only see that because we're looking from the outside in. We see this gap of information, this darkness. Sometimes that cone of silence is where God is. For those of us who follow Jesus Christ, we know we're working on all the time that dialogue, that relationship, that conversation with Jesus about stuff going on in our own lives, about the world around us, about our loved ones. But whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, everybody can have a cone of silence. The only way to get around that is through relationship. And particularly the way that God works in relationship through other people in this world. You don't really come across many Christians who are isolated on their own and kind of do Christianity on their own and behind closed doors. It can't happen. It just cannot happen. In the Bible, there are some 5,730 mentions of relationship. That's how key it is in the Bible. And that's how key it is for us and for God. And God doesn't envision this kind of one-way relationship or this kind of up-down relationship between us and Him and where everybody else is excluded. It just does not work that way. There's so much fruit and texture and vitality and three-dimensionality to God's work in relationships around us. During this time, it can be deceiving for us because we may not even be aware of who we've got blocked out of our lives, who we're not listening to, who we're not bumping into. There's countless people we'd be bumping into just outside, just going for a walk, saying hi to folks, running into people. And then there are friends and families and closer circles. How many of our family members have we just lost touch with? How many people in our church, if you go to church, have you just lost touch with? People that you might even call friends. These are the voices that speak into our lives so many times, not just about their own need, but about what we're missing. Areas where we might have fallen down. Areas where we're just not seeing things clearly. And when it comes to a highly anxious period that we're living in now, we will look back on this global pandemic and be thankful for many things. And I think in my own life, I am thankful for being made aware of this cone of silence. God wants to do things in your life. He's constantly on this mission to transform your life. So when you pray about those blank spots. It's okay not to know what they are, but it's not okay to leave them as they are. Pray about those this week. See what God highlights. See what Jesus shines a light on. Chances are it's going to be a person or a relationship. God will tell you where to go from there. Guys, have a good week.